Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we will be looking at the Electoral College map based on all the early voting results we have now. This is not a prediction. This is just putting it out, the results onto this Electoral College map. Take this video with a grain of salt. You know why? Because these early vote results, they tell us only a half of the story. See, this blue does not represent the votes for Kamala Harris. This represents the amount of people who voted were Democrats. This does not mean that those Democrats voted for Harris. Those Democrats could have all voted for Trump. We do not know. And second, because there's so much unaffiliated other independent votes that split ways. So just take this with a grain of salt. This is not a prediction. And enjoy the video. So we will be starting with Washington. And in Washington, Democrats have 54% of the early vote and mail-ins. That is a safe margin, 18 percentage points ahead of Republicans. Let's move to Oregon. This is 7% ahead of Republicans. 25% make up the early vote here. 25% independents, unaffiliated, third parties make up the early vote in Oregon. But Democrats do win this by 7 percentage points. Now let's go to California. California Democrats unsurprisingly lead Republicans by a massive 20 percentage points. That is another safe margin in California. Now let's go to Alaska. There are so many independents and third parties and unaffiliated voters in Alaska that they make up almost a clear plurality of the early vote, 48%. That is a massive safe margin for other. Alaska is going to be the first state to go into this other category. Now let's move to Hawaii. Hawaii also goes to other by a much more narrow 3 percentage points ahead of Democrats. Now let's go to the mountains of Idaho. Idaho, Republicans lead other by 41%. That is a safe margin in Idaho. Let's go to Montana now. Republicans lead other by 12%. That is a likely margin in Montana. Wyoming, Republicans make up a whopping 77% of the early mail-in votes. That is a safe margin in Wyoming. Colorado, other, does lead Democrats by 9 points in Colorado. That's another state in the other category. Let's go to two battlegrounds now, Nevada and Arizona. In Nevada, Republicans lead Democrats by 6 percentage points. That will be in the likely Republican margin. In Arizona, Republicans lead Democrats again by 6 percentage points. That is another likely margin. Let's go to Utah, not a swing state, but Republicans do make up 54% of the early and mail-in votes here. That is a safe Republican Utah. Let's go to New Mexico. Democrats lead Republicans here by 12 percentage points. That is a likely margin in the state of New Mexico. Let's go to North Dakota. Unsurprisingly, Republicans lead here, but only they lead other by 8 percentage points. That is a likely margin in North Dakota. Once again, I know this map looks super weird. Once again, just take this with a grain of salt, please. South Dakota, Republicans lead Democrats by 27%. That is a safe margin. In Nebraska, 45% to 38% in favor of Republicans. That is a likely margin across all of Nebraska. I'm going to have to shade it in like this because of the congressional districts. It doesn't show the congressional districts, only the entire state. Now let's go to Kansas. In Kansas, Republicans lead by exactly 15% against Democrats. That is going to be a safe margin in Kansas. Now let's move to Oklahoma. That is 51% to 36% once again, a likely margin. A safe margin in Oklahoma. Let's go to Texas. Republicans lead Democrats by 18%. That is a safe margin in a state that I believe is trending left, which is Texas. Now let's go to the Rust Belt. Minnesota. Democrats lead other by only 4%. That is a likely rating, Minnesota. Now let's go to Iowa. Iowa Democrats lead in this reliably Republican state by 4 percentage points. That is once again a likely Democratic state. Missouri, we have no data from Missouri, Kentucky, Missouri, and Alabama, so we will be leading them with this no rating, without a rating, because there's no early vote data from here. But we do have early vote data from Louisiana, where Republicans are leading Democrats by 11%. We also have data from Arkansas, where Republicans lead Democrats by 24%. Now let's go to Missouri. Sorry, not Missouri. We have no data from Missouri, but we do have data from the state of Tennessee. Tennessee, Republicans lead Democrats by 26%. That is a safe margin in Tennessee. Let's go to a reliably Democratic state now. This is going to be Illinois. Democrats lead Republicans here by 20%. That is a safe margin in Illinois. Let's go to Indiana now. 57% to 35% in favor of Republicans in Indiana. That is a safe margin. Let's go to Ohio. Republicans lead Democrats here by 7%. That is a likely margin in the state of Ohio. Let's go to two Rust Belt swing states now. These are Wisconsin and Michigan. Michigan, Democrats lead here by 14%. This is very unsurprising. In the Rust Belt states, Democrats always crush Republicans here in the early voting. In Wisconsin, Other does lead here against Democrats by 7%, and Republicans trail behind at 23%. Let's go to the South now, starting with Florida. Florida, Republicans lead by 9%. That is a likely margin in the state of Florida. Republicans lead in the swing state of Georgia by 4%. This is really bad news for Democrats here. And Democrats will definitely need to be making up more votes in Georgia to be able to flip it on election day. Now let's look at North Carolina and South Carolina. In North Carolina, Republicans lead Democrats in this swing state by just 2%. And in South Carolina, Republicans lead by a comfortable majority of 20%. Now let's go to Virginia, a reliably Democratic state. Democrats lead here by 12% against Republicans. That is a likely margin in the state of Virginia. In West Virginia, Republicans lead Democrats by just 8% in one of the most Republican states in the country. In Maryland, my home state, and a very Democratic state, Democrats lead 61% to 24%. That is a safe margin in the state of Maryland. We have no data from Washington, D.C., but using our logic, we can definitely confirm that D.C. will be a safe Democratic state. Now let's go to the state of Delaware. Democrats lead Republicans here by 20%. I actually do expect Delaware to be won on election day by around 20% as well. That is a safe margin in the state of Delaware. Let's move to the swing state of Pennsylvania, where Democrats lead Republicans by a whopping 30 percentage points in this swing state. That is a safe margin in Pennsylvania. In New Jersey, Democrats lead Republicans by 40%. In New York, Democrats lead the other category by 38%. These are safe margins in the states of New Jersey and New York. Let's go to Connecticut now. In Connecticut, Democrats lead the other category by 13%. That is a likely margin in Connecticut. And if we go to Rhode Island, the smallest state in the country, Democrats do lead the other category by 5%. Now let's move along to the state of Massachusetts. In Massachusetts, the other category leads with over 50% of the vote. That is a massive victory for nobody in the state of Massachusetts. And it does seem like that no one will reach 270 according to this map. But once again, just take this with a grain of salt. In Vermont, Democrats lead by 43%. New Hampshire, Democrats lead by 6% against Republicans. Now let's wrap it up with Maine. Democrats lead the other category by 17%, which is a safe margin. So that does give Kamala Harris and Tim Walz 241 electoral votes, and Trump 226 electoral votes, and the other category 38 electoral votes. But 4 states have not opened early voting, and if we think of it how the general election is going to go, and we shade all 4 of these states Republican, that gives Trump 259, which is still not enough for him to reach 270. But once again, take this map with a grain of salt. It's a really bad map for an actual prediction, I'll say that. But thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.